Here is the secondary cartilage formation. We see the condylar cartilage, the hypertrophic chondrocytes are not aligned. They go in many directions, and the zone of endochondral ossification, the extracellular matrix zone, is very limited. Again, we see the fibrous articular covering, the proliferative layer, the hypertrophic zone of secondary cartilage, the calcified areas of calcified cartilage, the endochondral ossification, overlying areas of bone, and marrow spaces. Here, A is the head of an adult condyle, B is the articular disc, the lower part of the articular disc, and C is the fibrous articular layer. You see in B and C the crimped collagen. The circumferential collagen fibers, mostly at the peripheries of the disc, are crimped or in wavy appearance, or made compressed into folds and ridges, as could be seen. This is mostly in the peripheral discal area, as we said, mostly to adapt for the tensional loads being generated at this site. Here is a sagittal section of the TMJ of a child, and we will know why. Now, A are the collagen fibers at the central portion of the articular disc, which run more regularly aligned in anterior-posterior direction than at the periphery, which is part B. B, the collagen fibers are irregular, running with a transverse as well as superior-inferior direction, giving a more convoluted appearance at the peripheries. C is the layer, large marrow spaces. Here we see lack of a layer of compact bone at the surface of the condyle, showing that this is a condyle of a child. D, part D, is the articular surface of the mandibular fossa. You also see large marrow spaces that is unusually found in the mandibular fossa, and a lack of a layer of compact bone. Next, in this histological section, part 1 is the articular eminence with spaces of cancellous and spongy bone. 2 is the fibrous covering or the fibrous layer. 3 is the intra-articular disc. 4, the lower joint cavity. 5 is the fibrous layer of the mandible. 6 is the cartilaginous layer. The zone of secondary cartilage formation in the child. 7 is the cancellous bone or woven bone areas. In this sagittal section, A is the lower condylar head area. B is the fibrous surface zone. C is the cell-rich zone. D is the fibrocartilaginous zone. E, the calcified cartilage zone in the adult. F is the lower joint cavity, synovial joint space. And G is the intra-articular disc. Here is also a magnified view of the upper and lower joint spaces divided by the articular disc area. you see it is thinner in the center and thickest at the peripheries. In the center, the fibers are more regular, while at the peripheries it is more irregular distribution of collagen fibers. Underneath, we see the fibrous, we see the layer of the condyle, fibrous layer covering the condyle, the cell-rich zone, the hypertrophic fibrocartilage or cartilaginous zone, overlying areas of bone marrow spaces, overlying the calcified cartilage. We see in a child articular disc, there are more distribution of cells. In a child disc, we see more fibroblasts, flattened fibroblasts with cellular processes that allows the passage of nutrients and blood supply from the periphery to the avascular central region of the disc. On the other hand, in a more adult articular disc, we see more of the chondrocyte-like round cells. A region of the upper joint compartment showing the fibrous layer, the cell-rich zone layer, the fibrocartilaginous zone with cartilage-like cells, which overlies the calcified cartilage layer, or the interarticular bone. Lastly, in this section, A is the fibrous articular layer, B is the cell-rich proliferation layer, C is the hypertrophic chondrocytes of the secondary cartilage, D is the woven bone area, E is the already calcified cartilage, and F showing the marrow spaces that is composed of multinucleated osteoclasts, as we said, for resorption of cartilage, and osteoblast layer, which deposit bone on the calcified cartilage. This is, in brief, the process of mineralization of a condyle of a child and the replacement of the hypertrophic chondrocytes by more bone-forming cells deposited around the calcified cartilage, or the woven bone around the calcified cartilage. Eventually, this area would be remodeled later to produce mature bone. Thank you for your attention. This is the last lecture in your oral histology course.